Hello, welcome back to the Desk Corner. Welcome to a new video. Today's video is going to be a sit-down chatty type video. I recently created one about gatekeeping in the art world and that was pretty well received, so I thought I might as well make some more chatty type videos where we talk about art topics. And today we're talking about something that I think everybody deals with in general, but especially artists, and that is comparison. I think it's really hard not to compare yourself to others in general, but as an artist it's especially hard because of course we're always looking at other artists' work, especially on social media like Instagram, where you can scroll through and look at a bunch of artwork. I don't necessarily think that all comparison is bad comparison. I think you can look at another artist and maybe become inspired or motivated because they're creating something different than you are, and it inspires you to maybe try something new, whether that's a new medium or maybe a new style of artwork that you haven't tried before. And sometimes that can be healthy to look at other artists' work and become motivated yourself to produce your own work. I also think that we have a lot to learn from each other, so I love watching other artists' videos here on YouTube because I always take something away from it. And I'm not just talking about tutorial videos or informative videos, but even if I'm just watching another artist create a piece, I get to see what techniques that they are using and what their thought process was while they were going about that, how they're using the medium that they're using, and so on. So I think that we all do things a little bit differently, and it is beneficial to look at other artists and see what they're doing. Sometimes you might learn something that you didn't know before. For example, I used to watch a lot of Kirsty Partridge tutorials and learn about colored pencil and how to use it because I was still very much a beginner with colored pencil, but now I might watch artists who are great with watercolor and I learn a lot about things like different pigments and color mixing and techniques that I wouldn't have otherwise known. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a tutorial for me to learn from it either. So you can admire other artists and look at their work, maybe even learn from their work, become inspired or motivated from their work without comparing yourself in an unhealthy way. I think that social media, and especially places like Instagram where you just share photos, has made it really easy to compare yourself to others and compare your work to others. But the issue with this is on platforms like Instagram, usually you're just getting the final product or a very, very, very sped up version of a video, and you're not really able to see all the different ugly stages that a drawing or painting goes through. You also are not really learning much about the artist's thought process, which on YouTube you can often see the whole process an artist goes through, so sometimes watching YouTube videos can be more helpful. But when you're on Instagram and you just see all the different photos of artwork, you can admire it. But I think it really paves the way for comparison because you're not seeing how many years of practice somebody has gone through to be able to get to the skill level that they're at now. So let's say you've been practicing on your art skills for like 4 or 5 years, and maybe somebody else has been doing it for 10 or 15 years, and that's what you're seeing is their final result after all of that time. So they're somewhere different in their art journey, I guess, than you are. And also, we don't all have to try and make things look perfect or hyper-realistic for art to be good either. You can have a different style. You don't necessarily need to create the most realistic art for you to be the best artist. And that's the other thing too, is the concept of being better or being a better artist than somebody else, or being the best artist, wanting to be the best artist. I'm sure this happens a lot among younger people too, where there might be more competition. At that point, are we really having any fun creating the art anymore? Because I don't think so. My camera died as I was ranting, so I had to change the battery, but I also wanted to mention how I think that comparing yourself too much to other artists really inhibits your own growth, and it doesn't really allow you much room to find your own style, your own creativity, and whatever makes you individually the artist that you are suppressing that by comparing yourself or trying to be too much like somebody else, if that makes any sense. And the really interesting thing is, even artists who create hyper-realistic artwork, somebody like Heather Rooney or Drawaholic, you can often identify that they were the artist that created that work. Like when I look at a piece Heather Rooney has done, it looks like her style, even though it's so realistic that you should just be able to say it looks like a photograph, which it does, but it also looks like something that Heather Rooney drew. And same with Drawaholic, I forgot what his name is, but he creates such hyper-realistic artwork as well. But when I see something that he created, I can kind of tell that it's by him. Same with Kirsty Partridge, I can identify her style. So I think that shows that we all kind of develop our own artistic style, even if we are working technically within the same realm of things. So even if you're creating realistic work or certain things like character design, whatever you might be doing, there's still something about it that makes it your work and not somebody else's. And I really think that embracing that unique style is more important than comparing yourself to other artists who create something in their own individual and unique style. I know that a lot of you have already embraced this about yourself, and many artists who have been artists for a long time, like 5, 10 plus years, have kind of gone through the stages and the processes involved and are probably at the point where they're more confident in their artwork. But if you are more of a beginner, or if you just haven't been creating artwork for that long, then I think it's easier to fall victim to this, especially with all of the posts online that you might see with the social media and everything like that. So I'm still making this video for anybody who needs to hear it, even though a lot of you have probably already gone through this thought process. And there's another way to compare your artwork, and that is comparing it to your own artwork. So you're comparing yourself to yourself. I actually find that this might be a more productive way of comparing, because if you compare something you created today to something you created a year ago, you'll likely see progress and improvements and feel good about yourself. In fact, it can be a confidence boost as an artist when you're feeling down to go back and look at other work, or maybe recreate a piece that you created in the past and see what your progress has been like. Your art style might also change throughout the years too, or your preferences or the mediums that you use. For example, I started out with graphite, and then it was graphite and charcoal, and then moved on to colored pencil. So I don't create as much graphite and charcoal work anymore as I used to, because I've branched out and tried a lot of new mediums now. Another thing is I used to stick very closely to portraits only, but I got a little bit tired of that, and I wanted to branch out and try new things, new mediums, new subject matter. And even if I wasn't as great at creating, let's say, an animal piece with pastel pencil as I was creating a graphite portrait, which is something that was in my comfort zone, at least I was getting out and trying something new and developing my skill set in other mediums, which of course took me years to do because I didn't have access to all these different supplies at first. But over time, you're able to slowly collect, I like to use the word collect, supplies and try different things out, and it can be really eye-opening and good for you as an artist to become more well-rounded in that aspect. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with sticking to a certain thing. I just don't seem to have the patience or focus for that. For example, watching an artist like Heather Rooney create such hyper-realistic portraits, mostly in colored pencil, sometimes in graphite, she just really developed that one skill. She honed in on that, and she's really great at creating realistic animals and other things like that too, but she really likes to focus on portraits. Now for me, what happens is I might create a portrait, but then after that I'm going to be tired of it and I'm going to want to do something different. So I'll probably create a totally different piece after that, maybe something much faster or a different medium and a totally different subject matter, because I was tired of creating a portrait. So that's how impatient I am and how bored I seem to get. Since I realized that, I've had a lot more fun with my art because I've allowed myself to create different things that I normally wouldn't think that I'm capable of creating, because I was so stuck in that box of only wanting to do portraits. If you are someone who has a very good attention span and a lot of patience, and you like to hone in on that one skill or subject matter, then that is great for you too, and that's what makes us all different. Some of us like to do a variety of things, others like to really hone in on something, and I think that there's nothing wrong with either of those. But I do think that I used to get kind of frustrated with myself because I wanted to be like a certain type of artist, and once I realized that I just wasn't a certain type of artist. I'm my own type of artist because we all are, but I couldn't fit myself into the same box as other artists. And that's okay. Once I realized that, I was a lot happier and more fulfilled because I wasn't constantly trying to be something that I'm not. That's the other thing, is never let anybody criticize the type of art that you do. So if you are strictly a landscape, like oil painter, and that's your favorite thing, that's what you're good at, that's the only thing you're interested in, don't let anybody come in and tell you you need to start doing pet portraits. Or maybe you're somebody who sometimes likes to make a realistic landscape painting, but other times you just want to do a random celebrity fan art portrait. Nothing wrong with that either. Again, I could make a whole video about Instagram and its influence and its place in the art community. That would have positives and negatives as well, but I'm not sure if anyone's interested in that. If you are, let me know and I will definitely make that video, because I think social media has a lot to do with this. So to sum it all up, of course, art is just about creativity and creating something, and all of our minds are going to work differently, so we're always going to create something different than other artists do. That's just how it is. Like, for example, if you use the same reference photo as another artist, which I did with Becky Tregear in a collaboration video a few months back, you'll see that you're both going to produce something very differently. Even if you use similar mediums, you're just going to produce something different because you're going to see it differently than the other person does. And you're both going to add your own unique flair and style. And if you're a beginner comparing yourself to people who have been artists for like 10 years, then you're comparing yourselves to the wrong people. It's better that you just compare your artwork to the artwork that you created a month ago or 6 months ago, and watch your own progress. I've been talking for so long, I'm really going to have to edit this video down, you guys, but I hope that you enjoyed this discussion. I'd like to have more of a conversation with you guys, so comment down below, let me know your own thoughts and opinions on this subject. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!